like a lot of artists and like a lot of creative people, I really struggle with putting money onto what I do. What I do means everything to me, and a dollar amount on that is really, really strange. I didn't think about this for a long time. I grew up in the Soviet Union, where artists and money had a really different place. And I found the art world first through punk music and then through graffiti, and neither of which has a lot of room for money either. But of course, you end up falling in love with what you do and you want to do it all the time. And it's inevitable that you have to put a financial value on your whole private world and creative process. So this is my private world. I am an artist and I exhibit in art galleries and museums, and I make big drawings of conflict zones. For the last few years I've travelled, and I'm very interested in how something like war and disaster changes the ground that we stand on. So, for example, this is my last show, which was made when my country, Ukraine, was invaded by Russia in civil war. And I made maps of the changing borders because it felt like you didn't know the ground that you were standing on. And this is my current show, which was made in Fukushima, Japan, which is another country that I've lived in for a long time. And I was very interested in what it means to contain an entire nuclear landscape and whether that's possible. So these drawings are made with pinholes into paper. They're drawn with nothingness. And while it looks really slight, it's actually an incredibly physically painful and time-consuming process. And that's a big part of its meaning. So not only do they take a long time to make, but they also take me a long time to travel to these sites, to do my research, to make my data maps, to make my experiments, to bin them, to execute a whole show in my studio, and also to rehabilitate my body in between shows. So what I'm saying is that these works take a lot of money to be able to make in the first place. And I guess what I'm really saying is that it makes my drawings very, very expensive. And I'm very lucky to have really brilliant collectors and museums that understand that their support is the only reason that my work exists, and exists on my own terms. And every piece of support that I get goes into making more work and not much else. And in the scheme of the art world, that makes me really, really lucky. But what it also means is that I actually can't afford to buy my own work. And most of my friends can't afford to buy my work. And if they're artists, the odds are I actually can't buy their work either. So it was actually a lot easier when I was a teenager doing graffiti. I would make 2 copies of everything, and 1 copy would go on the street for no one to own but everyone to enjoy, and 1 copy would be bought by someone who understood that their support let another copy exist for everybody else. Unfortunately, with the way that I work now, it's not really possible to do that anymore. So around the time of this shift, I started having a lot of tattooists in my life. My best friend was learning to tattoo, and I started getting them myself. And any medium that's difficult and unforgiving and technically fiddly, I'm there like a shot. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. But something about tattooing really clicked for me. I could do drawings not for my friends, but on my friends. And they were mapping artworks, they were originals made whole by whole, and they could be carried with you forever everywhere you went on your body. And collectors didn't really want them, which is cool, because my friends really did. And tattooing is an incredible thing to do to someone's body. There is a lot of physical pain, there's a lot of adrenaline, there's a lot of implicit trust, and an incredible sense of intimacy. And from the start, it never felt right to put a financial value onto intimacy with my friends. And it never felt right to tattoo people I didn't know. And so I didn't. So what I asked instead was for my friends to meet me halfway and to trade whatever they felt like it was worth. Never specified. And I guess I'm really lucky to have some really, really good ones, because suddenly it turned into this alternative economy without really trying. I've traded now for all my clothes and all my own tattoos, for books I should read, for haircuts, for jewellery, for new skills that I've learnt, for help installing my shows, for help photographing, for my website, for road trips, for adventures, for dinners. You name it. Pretty much everything I own now comes from trades. And it is incredible what people come up with when you take out a financial base as the standard for trading with each other. And I've had so many incredible adventures and road trips, and I've learnt so many things, and I've read so many books that I never would have, even with the exact same set of friends, if I hadn't challenged them halfway. And what I've really learned is that the people that feel like they are the least creative and feel like they have the least to give are actually the most amazing people that get so excited and come up with something really incredible because it's so outside of their comfort zone. So the thesis that I'm working with is that from now on, I always, as an artist, want to have a parallel practice that exists for community and nothing else. And my thesis is that everybody else should too, creative or not. Because what I do in my art practice is actually really selfish, and it needs to be. It's my own world, and it needs to exist on my own terms. I need to live with it and make it for as long as I need to make it. And there is a real argument for that. I think that's really, really important. But what I'm contrasting it with is a parallel practice that is about active generosity and nothing else. It is completely for other people and for the community around me. And what I've learned is that there is so much that we access with the people around us that we never would, even if we had the money to do so. It makes so many incredible ways of supporting each other and challenging each other and meeting halfway. And I honestly think everybody should do it, and I think there is so much room for alternative economies in the world.